our apartment to say, hey, the noise monitor is going off. We want to make sure we keep a very professional environment. Can you please keep the noise down? So we're going to figure that out before it even becomes a problem. They're going to love that. You're going to buy these noise monitors from Amazon. They're a couple of dollars. You'll ship them off to the unit if they're not nearby, and you just have the co-host install them into the facility. Okay. So those are usually the main concerns: the cleaning, the noise, and just the in and out. But again, when they look you up, you're already on point. So you've already set yourself up to look a certain way. So they're going to say yes. Now, for the people who've done Airbnb who lied and said, oh, I'm just going to move in, that means they were doing business under their personal name, giving them all the liability and not their LLC. And they just didn't represent themselves because when they lied, we're not doing that. Okay, guys. So that's why it's really important to just look a certain way. So that way, you just get an easy yes. Super simple. And in step 4, pitch the landlord and apply for the corporate lease. That was the whole process that I gave you in steps 3 and 4. So again, a quick little blurb for the script is present what makes you the better fit than just a regular tenant. We talked about that because a regular tenant has personal issues. They got relationship issues, kid issues, work issues. We don't have those kind of issues as a business. Our LLC is going to pay their rent on time. And then with your niche, especially if it's a nursing or medical lease, medical niche, they're going to book you out for months in advance. So you can let the landlord know that too. Like, oh, I can pay some rent in advance because we typically get nurses and doctors. Since this apartment is by a hospital, that's who we're actually trying to target anyways. So we'll be able to pay for X amount of rent upfront, usually multiple months at a time. Highlight your business model and share what brings them value. We've talked about that. And then also, I help property owners maintain positive cash flow and being fully booked, having fully booked units and timely lease payments. So once you start getting one unit, if they have other units available, they might just reach out to you and say, hey, things are going well. We have more units. We have bigger units so you can make more money. We have smaller units for just 1 or 2 people. Do you want to take on these leases? And before you know it, you have leases, multiple leases in one apartment complex that's in a really good area. You're developing a really good relationship with this apartment complex and you're making a lot of money. And it's almost like having a hotel without owning it. It's so amazing. They get their rent, you get your rent. It's amazing, guys. This is literally how I was able to get 6 Airbnbs in a very short amount of time. Partnerships. Remember, as a business owner, you are an added asset to the landlord, just as they would be an added asset to you. It is important to make them confident and comfortable so that you can get that yes. Okay. So another thing that's really important when we are talking and emailing with the apartment complex or the landlord is to let them know, hey, through our agency, we have insurance. So everything's insured. Whether you whether you require your tenant to have insurance or not, through our company, we have insurance. They don't need to know this, but through Airbnb, when you're a host, for no additional cost, they give you $1 million policy on the property. So if anything goes wrong, Airbnb is going, they have it covered up to $1 million. That's an amazing thing as far as renting through Airbnb. So if something goes wrong and whatever, you threw it to your business, and then Airbnb got you covered up to $1 million for damages. And like I said, I mean, you pay for it through your booking fees, but it's not something that you have to pay for upfront or in advance. It's per booking. So they like hearing that too. When they hear that, they're like, wow, okay, you can come. We know things are going to be fine. We won't have to have any legal issues with you. That's going to cost a ton of money because you have insurance and it's through Airbnb. And you can literally just pull up that policy through your host account on Airbnb. I also want to mention, since I'm talking about host accounts, I have a referral link. So If you take this class, it's on the slide, but I'll also will send it to you guys. I would greatly appreciate it if you would use my referral link when you set up your Airbnb account. And even if you already had one, remember we're doing this under our business, so you just need to do a new one under your business email and name. Have a plan of how you will run your business. So that's just a quick little write-up. These are, and that could also be on your website as well. These are how our clients book. This is how we in this plan, you're going to mention the $1 million policy. If you want to get additional insurance, which you should, there are many insurance companies that you can have for just a couple $100 for the year, but you want to include that in your business plan as well. You want to just do some market research. You can give them the Air DNA report. This is going to be occupied 75% of the time. This is what we're looking to make. And that means that we're not going to have an issue paying you your rent. Your rent is more than affordable for us, for our business, which is why you should say yes to us. And when you present these things, send it to them in an email attachment. They're going to be like, oh my God, these people are on it. Yes. I guarantee you a lot of people are not doing Airbnb this way, which is why they're struggling, which is why they think it's just so impossible to get this thing up and running and making some money. And then while you're doing all of this, build a rapport with the landlord where possible. It's always good to tour the unit first if you can and follow up via email. Like I said, I've never seen any of my units. We just been on Zoom. We've been on phone calls, through text message. Like me and that girl have known each other for 30 days and the relationship is amazing. I really, in this short amount of time, trust her in business. So an example of a script, I kind of already went over this. Hello, my name is Tyler. I'm the CEO and owner of Tyler Properties. We are looking to house several of our clients in the area. Add, that's supposed to say and. Your place seems like the perfect fit for us. Are you currently accepting corporate leases? Something super short and simple. One thing before we talk about the slide, another thing I want to mention is with Airbnb, we're talking about short-term rental, but you don't have to just list your unit on Airbnb. You can list it on booking.com. You can list it on verbo.com. That's VRBO. You can list it on furnishfinder.com. You can list it on homeaway.com and just link your calendars. They all have a way where you can link your calendars to every single app. So that way, or every single one of these places. So that way you're not overbooking. And you can just kind of control the bookings a lot easier. So you got to remember, like, these places have millions of people visiting them every single day, which is why I'm able to book up so fast. However, Airbnb probably has the most views, but that doesn't mean that you can't list them on other places, because you can list your unit for different prices on different platforms. There are different kinds of customers, right? Some places you can list it a little bit cheaper on Booking. You can list it a little bit more on Furnish Finder, because that's where nurses and doctors go that get these contracts that the hospitals are paying for them to stay there. So different platforms can have different price rates, which means more visibility, which means being booked out a lot more. Okay. Um, mm, 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 mm. One more thing I want to say about your business insurance. So, like I said, Airbnb provides business insurance, but you can get your own policy. I would recommend you get your own general liability insurance for your business. And then also short-term rental insurance. All of these cost a couple $100, but it's better to be overprotected than underprotected. And it's just gonna help you to get more people to say yes once they know Airbnb has gave you a policy, and then you have short-term rental policy, and then you have general liability insurance. Like, they're gonna love all of these different coverages because it's gonna make them feel protected. That's all that they're looking for. All right. Um, Another thing, when you give the landlord a contract, and this is typically not when we're dealing with apartment complexes, but when we're dealing with actual landlords, like someone that owns a condo or um, a townhouse. In the contract, you want to just mention, and I have a contract that I got to give you guys too. There's a clause that just says you can operate under a short-term rental business. There needs to be a clause in there because um you just don't want anybody to ever be like, we never said you could do that, especially if it's not a corporate lease, it's a regular lease, because the owner of the home, that they just have a regular lease. You want to make sure that there's a clause that says you can operate under a short-term um rental company in that house. We talked about putting the business in your lease name. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's read this slide. Okay. Building rapport with the landlord through initial phone call. We talked about that. Highlight your business model and share what brings value to them. So we gave examples of that, but let's also talk about the nursing side. We could say, um, I can bring my business model can bring you value because we're going to give you positive cash flow. Like, I'm just trying to give you different ways to say different things to kind of trigger the landlord or the apartment complex to just say yes to you. Positive cash flow. If you're able to say that, my business can generate you positive cash flow because, one, we're a business. Two, our clientele they're going to be here for 3 to 6 months top, so it's not going to be a lot of in and out, and I'm going to be able to pay you up front. So worst case scenario, I'm still a business and we have other properties, so because we're a business and we have money coming in, we're going to getting your rent on time is not going to be an issue at all. Um, address their pain points. We did that. Acknowledge the lease term you plan to have and you plan to maintain the lease payment. So, again, some places might ask for a 12-month lease, but if it's a corporate lease, you can negotiate. It's so much easier to negotiate the leasing terms to something shorter just because you are a business. If you're doing this in your name, they're not going to negotiate anything with you. They're going to be like, if you live in here, you live in here. But if you're using this for business, it makes sense. We can do something shorter than 12 months. Um, highlight the platform you will use to keep your unit booked and busy. Again, let them know where you're going to be listing the unit at so that they're more just feeling easier about how this unit is going to get paid for on a monthly basis. And then follow up on important details like security deposits and other necessary qualifications. I'm learning on my search that a lot of places are giving specials, especially to corporate leases, people who want to do corporate rentals. They're willing to give you like your first 3 months for free if you sign an 8-month lease. So that just means all profit to you. All you have to do now is go inside if it's not furnished and spend $1,000 to furnish the apartment. And the first 3 months is all profit. So when I'm looking for places, that's my first thing. Where can I go to even get 1 month's free rent? Or the deposit is there's no deposit, or I only got to put $500 down to move in today. Anything to cut my costs down in the beginning so I can make more money is what I'm looking for first. Those are the things that sound really good to me instead of what's really popping. This is a business move for me, so it's always how to spend less and make more. Okay. Also, going back to qualifications, um, credit 9 times